Blue Beetle is out now, and while the hero might be new to the big screen and to most audiences, he's actually been around in comics for decades and has been through several different iterations. What's up guys, this is Danko. I do fight breakdowns, power ranking videos, or more deep dives into your favorite characters and franchises with new videos every week. So if that seems great to you, well, sit back and enjoy the video. Hit that like button if you want to, or hit the subscribe button while you're at it. While it really started with Ted Kord, a genius scientist who was sometimes seen as a serious hero, but other times was just the butt of a joke, after Ted died in Infinite Crisis, Jaime Reyes was introduced, and along with it, a complete rework of the Blue Beetle character. Now Blue Beetle is the host of the Scarab, and has been granted an incredible suit of highly advanced technological armor that gives him an incredible array of abilities. And he's easily the most powerful version of Blue Beetle. But just how powerful is Blue Beetle? Well, today, that's what we're going to find out. Now, Blue Beetle gets all of his incredible powers from the alien Scarab on his back, a Reach infiltrator Scarab designated Kajeda. If you don't know who the Reach are, well, they're a civilization of alien conquerors who take over planets for profit. A millennia ago, they even came into conflict with the Green Lantern Corps, and were so powerful, they were able to force the Lanterns to a draw. So the Reach and the Green Lantern Corps had to sign a treaty with terms prohibiting the Reach from taking over any more worlds. So as a result, the Reach had to come up with more conniving ways of conquest, have some plausible deniability, methods that would enable them to take over a world without anyone realizing until it was too late. And central to the Reach's plan were the Scarabs, living weapons genetically engineered by the Reach and programmed to be obedient to them. The typical plan was to leave a Scarab and its database on an inhabited world. When that planet reached certain technological milestones, the Scarab would activate and bond to one of the natives. The Scarab would overwrite the host personality with the Reach's programming, creating an infiltrator in the Reach's service, all armed with the Scarab's vast range of lethal weapons. And one of those Scarabs made its way to Earth, waiting for the day when it would awaken and summon its masters. Now, according to legend, the Scarab eventually came into the possession of Pharaoh Khafre, who used its powers to help rule his kingdom, defending his people against evil. From there, the Scarab was buried with the Pharaoh when he died, safe inside the tomb. Over the centuries, thousands died attempting to claim it for their own, but the Scarab remained untouched, resting atop Khafre's sarcophagus, until Dan Garrett, the original Blue Beetle, heard the stories and sought out the Pharaoh's tomb himself. He succeeded, becoming the first person in thousands of years to reach the sarcophagus and the Scarab which waited there. Now, at some point along the way, this Scarab had been infused with magical energies and slightly corrupted. So when Dan touched it, it granted him the powers of Blue Beetle, but it didn't transform him into a Reach infiltrator, allowing him to become a superhero and fight against villains and monsters. However, Dan was eventually killed in battle, and so the second Blue Beetle, Ted Kord, tried to take up the Scarab and carry on Garrett's legacy. But despite Ted's best efforts, he couldn't get the Scarab to work for him, so he set it aside and fought crime as Blue Beetle without its powers. Now, the Scarab wasn't gone for good during this time. It actually did a lot of confusing stuff, like go back in time. It resurrected Dan and tried to kill Ted. It made its way back to Egypt, was recovered by Hawkman, but all you need to know is that it eventually crash landed in El Paso, Texas, where it found Jaime Reyes, and it selected Jaime as its host, the new Blue Beetle. But because this Scarab was corrupted, it couldn't overwrite Jaime's personality with the Reach's programming, which meant that Jaime kept his independence and free will. and along with it, the Scarab itself began to become an independent entity of its own, forming a bond of Jaime as they became superheroes together. Now, just on a base level, the Scarab gives Blue Beetle superhuman strength, speed, and durability. Granted, maybe not as much as a true powerhouse like Superman or Wonder Woman, but Blue Beetle is strong enough to hold up buildings. He can easily throw around vehicles and can even hold his own and fight with some pretty powerful people, like Green Lantern, Booster Gold, or Giganta, someone who can even regularly give Wonder Woman a hard time. Jaime is also ridiculously fast. He's casually able to dodge blasts and attacks from enemies. Through time dilation, he's actually fast enough to appear in multiple places at once. The Scarab is even capable of reaching light speed. Even better, Jaime can reconfigure the armor into strength mode or speed mode, so presumably becoming even faster and even stronger. Of course, just like he's not as strong as some heroes, he's not as fast as others. Like, he can still get absolutely speed blitzed by the Flash here. But probably his greatest attribute is gonna be his durability. Like, the guy can crash land from orbit, dropping down to Earth as a massive fireball, and be completely unharmed. Blue Beetle is virtually immune to both heat and cold. He's got some built-in resistance to telepathy. He was even able to survive the pain of hours of torture, all compressed down into a second and a half. He can be punched and slammed around by other Scarabs and keep on fighting. He can take attacks and shield himself from Green Lanterns. He can even survive nukes. But just like with his strength and his speed, his durability also has its limits. Like, he's gotten beaten up by Lobo before. Even Booster Gold has been able to get the upper hand over Jaime. Booster Gold. Of course, one thing the Blue Beetle Scarab can do is make sure to always protect Jaime. Like, Maxwell Lord was able to build an energy gun that's capable of damaging the Scarab, and then shoots Jaime in the head. The guy just seems to have a real thing for killing Blue Beetles. Well, the Scarab is then able to heal Jaime from seemingly death itself. Pretty impressive. But, so if Blue Beetle isn't the biggest, or the strongest, or the fastest, or the toughest, well, then what makes him so freaking powerful? Well, the Scarab is so technologically advanced that it can create just about any weapon or piece of tech that you can imagine. It can instantly adapt and evolve in order to take down new threats. It can go up against just about anyone. That's what makes him such a powerful hero. Like, just for instance, Blue Beetle is able to produce some absolutely crazy energy attacks and weapons. He's got energy weapons that are able to crack apart Green Lantern's shield, and this was a Green Lantern who was completely serious and ready for the fight. The Green Lanterns and the Scarab obviously have a really complicated history, and both the Scarab and the Ring kind of take over and just try and kill each other the moment they see each other. And that's just scratching the surface here. He's got some pretty powerful neural scramblers. He can temporarily knock out Bleaves with a Kyro Blaster, who's one of the most powerful Red Lanterns out there. He can one-shot a whole group of Omacs. He can create basically any physical weapon that he wants to out of his arms. Blue Beetle has even been able to match up against Starro, who was amped with 5 Sinestro rings, and each ring kinda compounds on itself exponentially. It can even go absolutely crazy. Blue Beetle is able to produce nuclear bombs, and the Scarab has even said before that it's got a weapon that can destroy the planet, and the Scarab never lies. The Scarab is also able to analyze pretty much every opponent that they fight against. In every situation that Blue Beetle finds himself in, it always comes up with the perfect counter for what's going on. Like one time Jaime was fighting against an intangible opponent, so the Scarab just changed his energy blast to be able to cut through intangibility. He was fighting against a group of magic monsters. The Scarab was able to analyze their magic and figured out a way to stop them. And this ability to cut through magic even extends to being able to counter a spell from Eclipso. Of course, it's also got its limits. The Spectre just simply walked right through Blue Beetle's anti-magic shield. But on top of that, Blue Beetle is able to instantly create kryptonite radiation when he encountered Supergirl. He created a flash-proof shield that instantly knocked out the Flash, and Blue Beetle is never really short of ideas from the Scarab either. It's just that the Scarab's ideas usually involve killing. Like he encountered a group of Omax, and the Scarab just instantly starts spouting out lethal solutions, which would have totally worked, before finally giving Jaime a non-lethal option to beat all 100 Omax at once. He's even got some weapons like a large Hadron Collider and a strong Force Disruptor, or an implicit order annihilation field at his disposal. Now, Jaime will probably never use these weapons because he's a hero and doesn't want to kill, but we do know that some of them have theological implications, meaning that it could possibly kill gods. After all, the implicit order is the most fundamental underlying structure of reality, and Blue Beetle can supposedly annihilate it. And here's the final kicker, the ultimate point for Blue Beetle. If Jaime is ever knocked out, incapacitated, or even if he's killed, well, then the Scarab is able to take over and keep on fighting. And that's a real big problem for pretty much anyone, because Blue Beetle is the only thing holding the Scarab back from constantly going all out and absolutely annihilating anyone that he fights against. So at his best, just how powerful is Blue Beetle? Well, I doubt Jaime will ever truly reach this potential, but he should be able to easily be on par with at least any Green Lantern out there. He should be one of the best powerhouses in DC, able to destroy planets, one-shot almost anyone he fights against. It's possible he could even kill gods and fundamental beings of the universe. Basically, Blue Beetle is definitely not someone to be messed with lightly. But what do y'all think? Sound off in the comments down below. I know you're gonna have thoughts and feelings on this one for sure. If you stuck around this long and made it to the end of the video, that's amazing. Thank you so much for watching and for supporting us. And if you want to go subscribe, well, go subscribe. You're going to see more videos like this one every single week. I'll see y'all then. I'll see y'all next time.